mouth, it literally looks like a giant, fat, enlarged uvula, and it hangs out, and it's just a giant, flat, gross, disgusting blob of red, gross skin, and it looks like a giant, flappy, fleshy tumor hanging out of their mouth, and they just flip it around. And
yeah, but it's sexy.
It's disgusting. It was absolutely gross, and I can't even understand what any type of creature would see in that. So I don't get it. Apparently the camels do, so yay for them. But it was
congratulations.
Disgusting.
You are a complete and utter disgusting troll.
Pee all over yourself and flap your uvula, and then you're gonna get some. So gross. Alligator snapping turtles. They weigh about 200 pounds. They have a tongue that looks like a worm.
And they will literally sit in one place so long that they will start to develop algae on their shells.
They're ambush predators, and that's why they do that. They have 1,000 pounds per square inch of bite pressure, and similar to a crocodile. Crocodiles and alligators are ambush predators too. And it's just there and waits for something to swim by and then attacks it. But the one I saw on the show literally had an inch of algae on its back. So I don't know how long you got to sit in one place to have an inch of algae grow on your back.
Probably depends on how much sunlight and stuff there is, but...
I mean, of course they have to be towards the surface because they have to breathe, but I mean, still, that's kind of crazy. So I want to talk about that little guy for a brief second too. And now we're going to move on to one of our favorite topics, animal topics. I guess you can call this our biology section. I'm going to start off with mentioning a creature that existed in ancient times. It was called Gigantopithecus blackie. And it was an ancient primate that lived long ago alongside prehistoric man. And they think that this particular ancient primate is a precursor or predecessor for what we know today as the modern Bigfoot or Sasquatch, which I thought was kind of neat.
Which is thought to have developed into not only the humans and the Sasquatch, but is also to have developed into the supermassive humans that we can't really remember the name of, but there were these, a while ago, they found these bodies of these giant human beings that were like 10, 11 feet tall. And they used to be, that used to be the normal size. I don't remember quite what it was, but, yeah, pretty impressive.
Cool. So this particular scientific show that we were watching was not one of the regular Bigfoot series that we normally watch, but it had a lot of scientific information in it. And one of the things that they discussed, they were talking about doing research on the Bigfoot footprints that people cast and bring in all the time. And one of the things that they were doing was they were beginning to analyze the ridges in the prints, just like the fingerprints on human beings. And what they discovered was that they compared the different ridge patterns, and they discovered that primate ridges, like modern primates, like monkeys and gorillas, have diagonal ridge patterns that run diagonal across the long axis of the foot. Humans' ridge patterns run horizontal or perpendicular to the long axis of the foot, and the Sasquatch prints they've been getting in actually run vertical, straight down the long axis of the foot. So there are differences in the ridge patterns that exist in these footprints that people have been bringing in. So it is possible that the creatures that are making these are something other than human or modern primate. So,
which is pretty impressive because in biomechanics were not as especially when they were getting these prints first. Biomechanics were not advanced enough to be able to know something like that.
Well, this is what he's talking about. Is let me give you a brief backstory to what he's talking about here. Is there's a famous 1967 video called the Patterson-Freeman video footage. It's the one that you've probably seen since you were a kid about with the female Bigfoot walking across kind of an open rocky area in the woods.
From the old Bigfoot movie.
Yeah,
they have it on Netflix.
It was from 1967, and it was the currently known as the best video evidence of a Sasquatch to date. So there were a couple researchers. There's a researcher called Dr. Benson from Texas A&M University in Corpus Christi, and he works for the bioacoustic analysis. Him and another researcher, he would obviously do research on the sounds of the Sasquatch, and the other researcher by the name of Andrew Nelson, he works for the Center for Motion Analysis and Biomechanics at Idaho University. Now, he is the one who would be researching what Zandman was just talking about in terms of biomechanics.
And so biomechanics is basically the study of how the body moves and how it would react to certain situations in the body. And in this footage, you can see, and when it's enhanced, you'll be able to see where the knee moves in a particular fashion that is not able to be replicated. Like it's found that just the way it was walking is it would throw its leg out of place and it would throw it back into a straight line, which is they're believed to walk in straight lines, and
their feet walk one in front of the other instead of side by side like humans.
Which is also another thing that they wouldn't have known at the time, and it's physically impossible unless you have some sort of genetic disorder for you to be able to swing your legs like that and replicate the footage they found. So
the Sasquatch actually swing their legs to the outside when they take a step, and then swing. It's almost like in an oval pattern. They swing them outside and then bring them back in front of the other foot when they walk.
And then, so biomechanics, and then also, like I was going to say, is in the knee, when they're walking, there's a tendon in the side of the knee that pulls in and contracts and lets go. This is not only something that no human has, but is also something that is just impossible to replicate, even if a human did have it, because of the extension of the leg, like the extensity of how portrayed it was. And also another thing to touch on, it's believed to have been a female Sasquatch in the video because it does have breasts, and unless the person trying to replicate it actually glued some sort of hair or something onto it, there's no way that they would have been able to replicate the breasts that are in the actual video. So
yeah, and basically how they did this, Dr. Nelson, who was doing the biomechanic research, basically what he did is he created a computer model and built a biomechanical computer model based on the movement of the Sasquatch in this 1967 Patterson video, and he was able to extrapolate from the movements a 360-degree virtual walking skeletal structure of a Sasquatch, and that's how they were able to determine how the motion of these limbs would have to have occurred in order for the Sasquatch to move in the way it did in the it's pretty cool. It's really interesting. These guys really seemed like they were on the ball when it came to
they seemed impressive.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool. Dr. Andrew Nelson for the Center for Motion Analysis and Biomechanics at Idaho University, Dr. Benson from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, bioacoustics analysis, and they were doing research on the Patterson-Freeman footage of the Sasquatch from 1967. So, moving along, we're going to talk about another group of researchers who we just recently discovered, and I'm sure they've been around a long time, but they're called AIMS. The acronym is AIMS, and it stands for the Appalachian Investigators of Mysterious Sightings.
And they literally, not only will they focus on things like the Sasquatch or the Grassman or the Skunk Monkey, but they will also research other things like Mothman and Wolfman and all those different types of things.
Yeah, as the title of their name indicates, they investigate all mysterious sightings, and primarily in the Appalachian Mountains, but they don't just stick to one type of mysterious animal.
Which is good, because we need more stuff like that where they're actually investigating everything. And the BFRO ain't got nothing on Ames, because Ames actually, the first time they went out for it, they actually caught the picture. They almost got it in the trap. They were
that's when
chasing it down.
they were hunting for the Kentucky grassman at the time, which is kind of like a Bigfoot, but it seems to have a lot, like the hair is like almost like grass on a ghillie suit, like hangs down, and it's very like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it looks like Captain Caveman's hair. Sort of, and these guys they're much more aggressive in their investigative techniques. They'll actually chase these things down through the woods and
with shotguns.
They have a guy named Willie that builds traps, and they actually want to trap these things. They use the custom-made traps. They carry firearms. They're not afraid to get out and get dirty. They go into the water after these creatures. They climb into the dens where they think they might be living, they chase them down, and they use trail cams. They set them up, and they get pictures, and that's how they got a picture of the Kentucky grassman. And they use multiple infrared cameras at night. And it's pretty cool. We haven't done a lot of research into this group yet. We haven't really looked at their website or other online videos or stuff, but the TV show that they have is called, what is it, Mountain Monsters?
Mountain Monsters.
Mountain Monsters, and it makes for much better watching, much more intriguing to watch. It's a lot
especially
better.
Since even though they do show themselves a lot, it's themselves actually doing something, like chasing the grassman. When they're not actually doing something, they're kind of just standing and listening and watching. They are showing the thermal. So I think that's pretty impressive that they actually don't just show themselves with a giant light flashing.
Yeah, they don't have like lights shining on themselves and a camera on themselves all the time. They have somebody else there, obviously, just filming them. But their focus of their cameras is all on the outside of. It's all
like on the outside.
On what's going on around them, So there's a lot less, a lot less footage of them and a lot more of what's going on around them. So, these things don't necessarily make them better investigators or make them better at what they do. It's just in terms of putting it on a TV show.
It's a little bit more intriguing to watch.
It's more fun to watch, right? It's more entertaining, and it's more interesting. It's more intriguing. So, moving on, we're gonna go on to the free talk, and we were out last night doing some driving around in our mobile candle castle, and we observed a phenomenon. A little known but probably widely seen phenomenon known as car hats.
Car hat syndrome.
Car hats. So, pretty much anybody that knows that when you clean something off, you
start from the
top and work your way down. If you clean the bottom first and you go to the top, when you clean off the top, you're going to mess up the bottom again. So, what are car hats?
Car hat syndrome is the inability to clean off the top of your car when you are driving in snow and there is at least 9 inches or more of snow on top of your car. It's the definition of car hat syndrome.
And it looks like these things, there are people that clean off their whole car and they leave 3 feet of snow on top of the roof. And it literally looks like those giant travel containers that people belt to the top of their roofs when they're traveling, the big giant white suitcases, they're aerodynamic ones. It looks like that, and they're driving around with an extra 3 feet of snow on top of their car.
So
it's called a car hat.
Car hat syndrome, and so if you are somebody that participates in this act, there is a cure. Stop being stupid.
Stop being stupid. Take your stupid car. Clean the top of your car off. Use a broom. A push broom works best, because that's what I had to do to get the 4 feet of snow off the top of my little car when I was out there shoveling the 8 feet of snow out of my driveway this week in the second snowstorm of 2014. And I'm sure the newspaper's going to have front page news of, oh, it snowed. There's snowstorms. Rock to the region. Thank you for the update. We all know we all shoveled the shit out of the snow.
Yeah,
you want to put it in the newspaper, put it in the last page, put something interesting on the front page. Thank you very much.
Say somebody, like the Purdue shooting is probably a little bit more important than there's